Happy October 22nd, everyone. Welcome to Midwest Horror Network's October 2020 special, where we discuss all of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes. Today we are talking about Treehouse of Horror 22, which is actually the lowest rated Treehouse of Horror episode on IMDb. First, let's start with the intro of the episode, which this episode's intro is pretty much as long as an actual segment on the show. So we have Bart and Lisa returning from trick-or-treating. They're excited about candy. Maggie's also with them in what is probably the most creative part of the episode, in which Maggie was a chest burster to Bart's astronaut.
That was nice.
Yeah. I forget what Lisa was. Homer was Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen.
In a G-string.
Yep.
Yeah, which made me very uncomfortable.
Yep.
About as uncomfortable as watching that scene from Watchmen.
Borderline felony moment.
Anyway, Marge comes out dressed as a witch, or the Switch Witch, as she calls herself, in which she takes the kids' candy and gives them toothpaste and dental floss and mouthwash. Because why not? She gives the candy to Homer the next morning to drive to the USO headquarters to give to like a candy for the troops thing. But of course, Homer does not go there. He passes it by, he drives right past it, and then the Psycho music comes up. So we have another Alfred Hitchcock spoof essentially for Psycho.
No shortage of those recently.
Nope. He drives all the way out to this vast canyon, and which is called Candy Eating Peak. He takes the bag of candy, and as he's just running to wherever he wants to eat the candy, he ends up falling, and
Not before singing a song about being a diabetic.
Yep. And he falls and gets his arm trapped in a rock. So now we're in a spoof of 127 hours. Didn't know that was a horror movie.
I mean, it's a horrifying event.
It is a horrifying event, and it is a very good movie. Just not a horror movie. I mean, it was directed by Danny Boyle, who did 28 Days Later.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, he's a really good director. I really like his work. So he has his arm trapped under a rock. He has his cell phone, so he calls 911 for help, and they say they'll be there in 20 minutes, which that's too long for him to wait for candy. So he says the only logical thing to do is to chew his arm off. So he takes some plastic vampire fangs, he starts chewing, but because we have writers that make Homer dumber than he should be, he chews off the wrong arm. Then he chews off his leg. Then we cut to a little bit later, and somehow the arm and the leg are reattached. And he chews off the correct arm. And while he's getting ready to eat candy, he opens up the bag and sees that it's all the vegetables that were supposed to be for the kids. And Homer just basically yells, "No!" up at the camera. We then cut to Bart and Lisa in one of their rooms, and they're eating candy. And Bart takes like a whole ball of like chewy candy and opens his mouth, and the chewed up candy spells out the title, Treehouse of Horror 22. Very elaborate for an intro.
Yeah.
It was a long walk for a short drink of water.
It was a really long intro. I thought I was watching like the first segment.
Yeah.
And when I asked, like, wait a minute, that was the intro. What the hell am I like? Yeah.
I was not too taken by this.
It was two funny jokes at the very beginning with Maggie eating those spicy candy.
Yeah, their version of the Red Hots, the Red Tots.
The Red Tots, and then
The xenomorph joke.
The xenomorph joke. And
I thought was good.
That was good. And then that's it.
Yeah.
I thought the diabetic song was interesting.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I kind of more rolled my eyes when the Psycho music started to play up, and I'm like,
well, yeah, because we've been getting hit upside the head with Hitchcock jokes the past 3 episodes now, maybe 4.
Yeah. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, this is the lowest rated Treehouse of Horror on IMDb. This is also the 22nd one we've watched. So in honor of this occasion, I thought I'd do something to sort of spice up this episode a little bit.
Oh boy.
Normally, before we start recording these podcasts, Mark, David, and Zach decide which of them is going to lead the discussion for which segment. However, I don't think any of you are really particularly looking forward to describing any of these segments.
Want to
Already
know
forgotten.
the truth? I don't even remember the first 2 segments.
Exactly.
That might not be a good thing for you.
Because you want to know what else? If we would have waited another 5 minutes, I probably would have forgotten the third.
All right. So, in my infinite cruelty and nerdiness, what I have here are 3 20-sided die. You're each going to roll 1, and whoever has the highest number gets to choose out of the 3 of you who gets to describe which segment.
Wow, that's a cruel fate.
You're
Fuck
the
it.
only one I know with a D20.
Fuck it. Come on, Big D. Let's go.
God, this is my first time rolling a D20.
Mark has rolled an 11.
Damn you,
These
bastard.
things even roll?
Yep. Zach has rolled a 14. And David rolled a 1.
Wow.
So, Zach, you lucked out. You get to choose
3.
who gets to lead the discussion for the first segment,
Bastards.
the diving bell and the butterfly. The diving bell and the Butterball. The diving bell and the butterfly is the movie this was based on. But, Zach, which of you is going to lead it?
So this is the first segment?
Yep.
I think the guy who rolled the 1 deserves
You
it.
son of a bitch. It's actually, that was the I think that was the worst one.
It's like,
Out of all
holy
3.
I don't even remember what the hell happened. I'm legit
I'll
trying to
explain
remember.
it. I'm trying to remember, but it's really not much. We start off in, I guess, Martin Homer's bedroom. He's waking up from either some kind of coma.
I think it was
or,
the living room.
Was it the living room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're pretty much correct so far.
He wakes up from a coma. I'm just going to say that. Some kind of coma. They are kind of curious of what happened to him because they didn't know what was going on. And he explains and he tells them the story of what happened. And he's taking out like Halloween decorations, I think, to the trash. Or he's going to set them up.
He's taking out the Halloween decorations to set up.
So set up. There's a Black Widow spider in there, which is an actual real spider, but he's too dumb to realize it and think it's a fake one, and tries to check the battery on the spider and tries to open it with a screwdriver, and the spider bites him and he passes out. Apparently he got a stroke and just stayed in that like one mimic pose where his arms
Full body paralysis.
yeah,
pretty
full
much.
body
I didn't
paralysis
even know
essentially.
Black Widows could do that. I thought they just poisoned you.
Yeah.
They can't.
So essentially, he's stuck like that, apparently for the rest of his life, or what he thinks is the rest of his life. Everyone's trying to adapt to taking care of him because he can't do things for himself. Lisa realizes that he can communicate via farting, which is whatever.
Such a childish joke.
1 fart for no, 2 farts for yes.
I mean, like the funniest and probably like the most relatable part of the whole segment is like, I think Marge is dressing him up, and he's distracted by her cleavage. So it was just like she was saying something like emotional, and he was just
Yeah.
like, yeah, oh, cleavage.
Yeah, he was like,
Boobs.
this is what true love is. So sweet, so tender. Oh, cleavage.
It's like only the best part of it.
Boobies.
At some point in the episode, he gets bit by another nuclear mutant spider. I don't know how to explain it. It came from the power plant, bit him, and he turns him into a crippled Spider-Man, essentially. And he goes around town swinging on a web while he's on a dolly, or strapped to a dolly, fighting crime, essentially farting webs out, catching criminals. And then he wakes up after that, right?
No, he meets up with Marge, and they swing off. And
Oh yeah.
They pass by the rehabilitation center for the cast of Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark.
This was
And the episode ended.
This was just-
this is just painful,
It was
man.
pretty pathetic.
This was
It
just
Yeah,
stupid.
was.
Okay, I'm gonna say this, and I think that Zach will definitely agree with this, but I'm very interested to hear you guys' perspective. Family Guy did this concept, with the exception of the bullshit Spider-Man stuff, 1,000 times better in one flashback segment, and that is when Peter and the whole family go to Bennigan's, and they start singing "Happy Birthday" to him, and then he freezes in a pose of being happy.
Oh,
And then they say, this happens often at Bennigan's. Let's put him next to all the other frozen dads, and then literally puts him next to all the frozen dads.
And then you just see a tear drop.
No, the tear happened because Lois was like, "How long does it last?" And he's like, "Hey, we can't be for certain," and everything else. It's just best to move on. And then like he strokes her cheek, and then you see one tear from Peter go down. And as we were reviewing this, I was like, that one segment was 1,000 times better than the concept that was going, whatever the fuck was going on, whatever the hell was going on here.
They've done better paralyzed jokes. They've done better Spider-Man jokes. They've done better, family, sickness things. It's like,
Dude, Simpsons has done way better than this.
this is
Oh yeah.
like, who thought this was fun? Who wrote this? Thought we need to animate this and turn it into a Halloween special.
Dude, I'm telling you, this is the contract renewal episode. I can almost guarantee this is a contract renewal episode. I'm gonna I need to go through those histories and find out when the writers' contracts were being renewed and negotiated, because I can almost track it. Every shit episode is got to be connected with a contract negotiation or renewal. It just seems like that.
And I'll just say, this isn't just a weak one. This is just bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The past couple episodes, they haven't been super good or super bad. They've been pretty just okay.
Yeah.
This one was fucking terrible.
Which, as okay as the last two episodes as a whole were, we actually got some really good discussion out of them. I
Yes.
think. So can we really call them just okay if we got that good a conversation out of them? This one's just
bad.
yeah.
This
Like-
is bad.
I sit here and question, seriously, who the fuck wrote this? And who the fuck thought this would make a great animation? The idiot who thought, we should animate this! Fire him. I want to read what they read. Because it had to be something different to get approved.
Or was this an
So,
afterthought?
is there a major, is the quality of the actual script different from when it hit the
Yeah.
storyboarding director?
Because sometimes that does happen.
Yeah, it does. It does often. I don't know, man.
But looking at this is
just looking at it in concept.
yeah.
It's pretty
Like,
bad. I'm not even the animation. I'm not even
Yeah.
a fan of the animation.
Yeah,
in
and
this
like we were
segment.
talking about on the last one, it's the Treehouse of Horror 21 had really good animation in it. And we are in the HD era of Simpsons, which I mentioned in the last episode. No, not 21. 20. 20 was the one with the really good animation. And I discussed how in the HD era, I do feel it lost something in the creativity, but Treehouse 20 brought that creativity back. This episode really did nothing.
I know I say this a lot, but I feel like even the worst Family Guy episodes I've seen were never this bad.
How many writers again?
What's that?
For this episode?
Just one.
Just the one.
Yeah, which I mean, the way TV works, it's the way TV writing works is you do have a writer's room, and so it's pretty much the whole writer's room comes up with the ideas for the episodes, and the actual credited writer is the one who is taking all those ideas for the episode and turns it into a coherent script for the episode. So even though it has the one writer, there are probably jokes and ideas from all of the writers for that season.
Gotcha.
And I actually disagree with you, Zach.
it's
I've
probably
seen
their
some
fault.
episodes of Family Guy that were painfully awful.
Okay, so here's my thing. I can remember almost every episode from seasons 1 through roughly 10. After that, that's when everything just becomes, like, I've seen some here and there and stuff like that, but from all those episodes, there were good ones, there were okay ones, there were a few bad ones, but none were ever this bad.
Funny, that's exactly how I feel about the first 10 seasons of The Simpsons.
The
To be fair, this is 22 or 23
Yeah.
or 22 seasons in to Simpsons.
That we're on,
Yeah.
this would be 23.
Yeah.
Dude,
So
I can actually think of the one where Quagmire teaches Megan how to be disgusting. That was the most painful fucking episode of Family Guy I've ever watched.
really?
When she's being bullied by the bully,
Yeah, I know which one you're talking
that
about.
was literally the most.
Oh, so are you
painful.
sure that's within the first 10 seasons?
It's probably after the fact.
I was gonna say that one's definitely after, but
but yeah, like it's, trust me, Family Guy has its weak points. This is definitely a weak point for The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Do you remember this season, Brandon?
Yeah, I was actually just looking at the episode guide, and so I looked at both season 23 and season 22, because we did discuss how they would write the Treehouse of Horror the year before. I don't know if that's still a thing in this HD era of Simpsons, so that's why I'm looking at both those seasons. 23, which is the season this is in, actually has quite a few that I enjoy.
Okay.
And then 22 had a couple that I enjoy watching, but for the most part, not so much.
Okay, so
But also, season 23 is the season that ended with Lisa Goes Gaga, which is the one that Lady Gaga guest voiced on. And most Simpsons fans will label that as the worst episode of the series, and it's kind of hard to disagree with that. For me, I didn't see that episode until years after it aired, so it is a terrible episode, but it didn't have the same soul-sucking impact on me that everybody who watched it when it first went live experienced. But
why did it take you so long to watch it? I feel like you're the person who's just like, as soon as a new episode airs,
there was a period of time where I did stop watching week to week, and then like when I would say I started picking it back up when I was in college, because the student housing had DirecTV, so it was just easy to watch.
okay.
And then I kind of fell off after I left college because I didn't have cable or anything. And then I discovered that Simpsons World was a thing that had every episode. And so then they started putting episodes up, and I was like, I'm going to catch up a little bit. And it's like, okay, that's actually pretty good now. And then it kind of had another slight dip, and now it's kind of coming back up again. So it's kind of been going through hills and valleys these last 10 years.
But it sounds like when this episode was written, if they stuck to the original format of how they had done Treehouses and Horrors in the past, that season was not really that good.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's just for this episode, I don't think that I really necessarily agree with some kind of writer strike or something going on, because it really starts with the ideas.
Yep.
And the ideas for this episode is stupid. Homer's going to be bit by a spider, and he's going to be
I agree
crippled
100%.
Spider-Man.
This
Like,
is a
it's
spoof of a movie
ridiculous.
called The Diving Bell and the Butterfly from 2007, which is one of my favorite movies of 2007, one of my favorite movies of the 2000s, and just plain right out one of my favorite movies. And it's based on a true story of the editor of a magazine in France who suffers a stroke. And his entire body is paralyzed except for his left eye. And basically, his nurse has this alphabet board, and she reads the letters to him like Lisa did in this, and he would blink whenever she hits the letter that he wants to use. And he basically wrote the book that the movie's based on, The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, by communicating through blinks.
Wow.
And
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
like 75 to 90% of the movie is shown from the point of view of his left eye. There are flashbacks that are told from the third person, and there's one really freaky moment early on where they switch over to his right eye and they start sewing it up because it's like he can't blink with it. So you see from that right eye's point of view, them sewing up the eyelid, and you see the needle going in and just the light leaving the screen from them sewing it up. It is probably one of the freakiest moments in a non-horror movie I've ever seen. But it's just a really good movie, a really unique movie. It was actually shot by Spielberg's go-to cinematographer, and he was actually nominated for an Oscar for shooting it. It's a really good movie. Really creative.
I would imagine that this would infuriate you then.
Yeah, it did at the time, and I knew this was coming when we watched it tonight. So the soreness has kind of healed-ish by this point. But watching this segment is an excuse for me to tell people how good the actual movie is. So I see that as trying to find the bright side in a spot of darkness.
I'll say this. I've never heard of that movie before and probably wouldn't have if it wasn't for you talking about it during this segment.
It's a really great movie.
Definitely sounds like an interesting premise and story.
Yeah. It was an American production, but it is in the French language.
Okay.
It was nominated for 4 Oscars: director, cinematography, editing, adapted screenplay. Won 2 Golden Globes for director in foreign language film. Jesus
Christ! And this was what, 2007? Well, then I got 2007. Yeah, this probably would have definitely flown past my radar at the time.
Yeah, which 07 is a great year in general.
That was There Will Be Blood, right?
Yeah, There Will Be Blood, No Country for Old Men, Born Ultimatum.
No Country for Old Men.
Once,
That's good.
Yeah, that movie is very overrated to me.
It is overrated, but it's still good.
I have my love. I go in waves of loving and hating it.
Zodiac's a great one from that year. But yeah, that's 07, and this would have been 2012, I think. Or 2011, 2012. Or 2010.
And
I've got my years.
I know we already passed 2010.
Yeah, I've got my years all mixed up. This
is just bad. It was
bad.
So, and this is like where
2011.
All right.
So this is 07 to 08, 9, 10, 11. So this is 4 years after that movie came out.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a weird choice because it's not a horror movie.
To be fair, I don't think anything they picked was horror related. Like the closest thing to horror that we got was that small little intro bit with like the little chest burster, and the fact that the first segment took place on Halloween initially. That's literally
the second segment had a little bit of Dexter in it.
Again, I don't even remember the second episode.
They could have turned it into something horror related. It's a good premise, but they just
it's just a weird choice of why this movie, because
there's something horrifying with it.
And by the way, like I'm all for a fan of comedy. I love like super dark and like most people would consider offensive comedies. If it makes me laugh, it makes me laugh. But like this is one of those things, man, that like I would say, and I don't say this often, but like I was almost, especially as Brandon is explaining the plot of what this movie is based on, like I'm almost insulted. Like I'm actually a little offended. Like it's such a beautiful story, and he's gonna communicate by farting. Like, I mean, like at this point, I'm like, well, fuck off, Simpsons.
I'll just say that regardless. I'm not gonna say offended because I feel like that's an extreme with this, but I will say this was stupid. It was annoying, and it has no purpose, existing. It's just fucking stupid.
Just really just out of place for a Treehouse.
It's just out of place.
Yeah,
it's really out of place.
I think I'm gonna, and I think. I'm very interested to see if somebody actually in the comment section does talk about this, but I really think that this was a toss away type shit. It always seems to happen that there's something going on with the Simpsons, and they're like, well, fuck, we have to do a Treehouse because we're contractually obligated.
And it's a shame because it is a staple of the October season and Halloween time of the year for me. It's even when I wasn't watching the show week to week, I still watched these Halloween episodes.
Yeah, no,
I
100%.
always made it a point to watch it because that is one of my traditions each year, and I know I'm not the only one who does that. There are plenty of people who dropped out of watching week to week who will still, always, till the day they die, check out that year's Treehouse of Horror.
And I could see that too. Here's another thing that pisses me off. I could come up with a much more interesting concept for this type of story right off the bat of my head. First idea. Homer's paralyzed, has to witness his whole family getting murdered, but he doesn't get bothered because I think he's a fucking statue or something. Because he can't move. He's totally paralyzed. He looks like a fucking statue for most of it. So it's just something like that. That's
Like
cool.
Sideshow Bob escapes.
And starts murdering Bart right in
Yeah.
front of him. That would be... It's horror, it's cool, and it's an interesting concept.
Have we seen Sideshow Bob in a Halloween special?
I'm pretty sure we have. It's
I
just...
think it was like one of them. No, we did. I think he escaped from prison on one of them. I think there was
There
something.
is an upcoming one that does feature him. I know that.
Okay.
But
Yeah, there's plenty of cool things you could have done to make this actually good, but you didn't. You copped out on a shitty fart joke and then threw Spider-Man in there for no fucking
some
reason.
I'm gonna make up a new phrase. I'm gonna call it a recommendation killer. So, say for instance that you're gonna recommend a show that you absolutely love to a friend, like, and that has never seen any episode, and then you show them an episode of it. It's a brand new episode that you have not seen yet, and you recommend them, and then they watch it, and it's one of the worst fucking episodes of the entire series.
Yep.
And then you've totally turned that friend off to that series completely. Yeah, this is one of those times that if you had a friend that had never really watched The Simpsons.
Don't start with Treehouse 22.
Yeah, I mean, like it's just one of those things that, like, hey, like, imagine it, like, going back to like 2007. You had a buddy, who had never watched The Simpsons back in the day when you actually had to watch these episodes as they came. It's like, hey, check out this Treehouse of Horror, episode, and it's gonna be awesome, and like, the last episode was, last year was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then he fucking watches this and like, you're like, I will never take a recommendation from you ever again. You killed The Simpsons for me forever.
Yeah. All right. I think this segment has pretty much run its course. So our second segment is called Dial D for Diddily.
Oh my
Zach.
God.
Third fucking time.
Zach, who is leading the discussion for this segment? Is it you or Mark?
I don't know.
Or do you want to be super cruel and pawn it off on David? Because you are in control here.
Alright. I'll fucking do this one.
You sure?
Yeah, this one's the easiest to explain, now that I actually remember it. So
You're not wrong.
Yeah. So I'm just going to start with the first thing that I didn't even realize this until now. Dial D for fucking Diddly, really?
Yes.
They're doing the dial
Yes.
for third goddamn time.
Yes.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Alright, so Dial D for Diddly is, Ned Flanders finally going off the deep end and starting murdering people. He starts off, he's driving through town, he's just like, this is my home, but it has its problems. Could use a cleansing right now. Yeah.
Dude,
I do
why
my
do you,
thing.
why do you sound like my character from Beware of the Clowns right now?
That does not sound like your character from Beware of the Clowns. You're
Sound like that guy from Family Guy.
clown.
It's pretty fucking close. Anyway, moving
That
on.
does not sound close like your character from the Clowns. But yeah, I'm Ned Flanders. This is a Ned Flanders episode.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so Ned Flanders just starts killing everybody. He has this, that's right. He got the new Bible Testament thing or whatever it's called, and he started taking orders from
You're
God.
really making this difficult for us.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make this good.
It can't be saved, Zach. Just go on.
All right, fuck it. Yeah, Flanders starts taking orders from God. It turns out Homer bugged his Bible and started giving him orders to kill people he doesn't like. Flanders finds out. God gets pissed, chokes out Homer. Marge comes in, asks God, why the fuck did you do this? Can't you just revive everyone? Satan comes up. Fuck you, God. Give me coffee. Okay, cool. Gives him coffee. Flanders' wife shows up. Come fuck me in bed, Satan. End of episode.
fucking shit.
Dude, that's actually not inaccurate at all. Like
No.
that's pretty much on the fucking nose. And
I'm gonna say this. It's definitely the best
Of the
segment.
three,
yeah, that's pretty much it, buddy. I mean, there's a few beats from Dexter. Then you talk about another concept that could have been really cool. That was
yeah.
kind of fucking lame.
Yeah, I won't say this one is terrible. Like, this one is actually kind of just like a flat line for me. Like, it's not.
I agree.
It's nowhere near the level of bad that the last episode was on. Nowhere near the level of bad. But this one, it's just kind of like, if this was the only episode, I would have been like, well, okay. I mean, just meh.
It's there.
Yeah. I mean, you have some like well thought out moments, and
Yeah.
it's one of those things that I can absolutely see Homer doing that to Flanders, and Flanders
Yeah.
being like, "I believe you, God."
And I did like I did like how when Mr. Burns was dumping the toxic waste in the lake, and after Ned beheads him, he grows the third eye, which is a callback to Blinky all the way from season 2 of The Simpsons.
I was half expecting Burns to come back as like a monster to try to get revenge on him or something like that.
Do we want to talk about the Patty and Selma death?
Oh my
yeah.
God, yeah, the fucking Looney Tunes thing.
Oh, that one I actually did kind of laugh at.
So did I. So I can't. Essentially, you get the what? Go ahead.
Yeah. So what happens is they're driving down what is the cliche Looney Tunes canyon thing, and they drive past this bucket that says free carton of cigarettes, and they do the cartoonish reverse thing, and then it just scrolls up like the Wile E. fucking Coyote thing, and Flanders is standing on a cliff with a giant boulder. He pushes it over, and then as those two are getting out of the car, they just get crushed, and then Flanders holds up a sign like, and it says like Diddly something or whatever.
Diddly.
Hiddly diddly. It's like,
Yeah, that was actually pretty fucking funny.
yeah, that one was. It's just like, okay, that one was funny. I give you props for that one. Like I said, this segment wasn't a bad one. It has its moments. It's definitely plausible in the realm of The Simpsons.
But it's not worth going through everything that came before it and everything that came after it.
And again, it's going to be the other two segments. You know what? Even the third segment it's that first segment that's just so fucking bad. Like, in my opinion, if I recall the third one correctly, it's just the first segment is so stupid, terrible, and it's like, what the fuck, that it's hurting the other two. And it doesn't help that the third one isn't really that great either. Like, that one you could
Yeah,
probably say
it's
is kind of bad,
like-
but it's nowhere near the level of terrible that the first one's
The
on.
intro is too long. The first one is stupid. The second one's a flat line. And the third one's just boring, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. So, I mean, this one was okay, but, fucking hiddly diddly. You literally take the funniest character in The Simpsons and...
Yeah.
But
it's
again,
like-
I don't know. It was so bogged down by the first episode that I was just kind of like, what the
yeah, like this one, it's the Dexter music intro thing had a few little smirky moments.
I've also never seen Dexter, so I didn't get those references. I do apologize.
Like it wasn't like the Office spoof from the last episode where the intro that they made for that was just a dead-on accurate thing. This was
one
more
was
like
more
they
inspired by?
This one was more like they had the music and they had a couple things that would make it look like Ned's doing something murdery, but he really wasn't until
gotcha.
he was.
Oh, so it was all that stuff.
Yeah, so it wasn't a beat for beat recreation of the titles. They just used the opening titles music. And yeah. Maud being with Satan would be a hilarious capper in a much smarter episode.
Yes.
I thought it was for what it
Salt
was,
no
it was
wound.
probably, it was a nice ending, but
Like, I liked the idea of the ending, but the
Yeah.
way they did it, it just kind of ended with a shrug. It
I
was
mean,
like-
that's kind of when
yeah.
he literally ended. He's just like, well, fuck.
Yeah, like they had a very funny idea for an ending, but they didn't know how to bring that idea to life. And that's what frustrates me about it.
That's it's like even Ned Flanders at the very end of the episode, he's just like, what?
It was stupid.
All right. Any last thoughts on this one before we move on?
Let's
No.
get it. Just,
No, that was towards the end. That ending was just kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Like God's Satan's bitch.
Yeah.
Like that was fucked up.
It's like, okay, that makes no
Okay.
sense, but all right.
So, Mark, I guess you're left with the final segment
Jesus.
in the Navi.
Yeah, I wonder what this is about. Jesus, man,
I'm still wondering that.
dude, this is so. Okay,
Do you want me to describe it for you?
No.
I can make this really easy.
no.
So can I.
And actually, so can I. It's
Are we all
Avatar.
yeah.
It's an Avatar fucking ripoff.
No. There's a little bit more. It's an Avatar ripoff, but with Kane and Kodos.
Sure.
Yeah.
There, end of episode. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this episode of the. Fine.
Okay, there's a tiny bit more than that, but that is essentially the gist. Bart plays the guy from Avatar who's in a wheelchair. He ends up transforming not into the Avatar creature, but into the same species that Kane and Kodos are, and they go through the whole fucking plot of Avatar, and that's it. And he gets one of the girls knocked up. Who turns out to be Kanan Kodos' daughter, and he says, they have
Which King and Kodos are brother and sister, by the way.
that's a whole nother level of horror that I don't even want to think
Is that
about.
considered a felony?
Depends on the state you're in.
Depends on the state. Yeah.
Okay.
But they're aliens, so I don't think they're in our jurisdiction.
Should I put half a team for that one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with half one. Yep. Possible felony. At the very least, an intergalactic misdemeanor. So
Ladies and gentlemen, that joke was funnier than the entire fucking episode.
it was a slow burn too. I saw like Brandon just processing it and just slowly bursting into laughter. That's the one that catches up with you, man. That's one you hang on to.
Go on.
Anyway, Jesus, this is so fucking bad. So I guess Bart is there with Milhouse. They were partners. They're both, in those machines that transferred them into aliens. They have a big war. Oh yeah, they're after, a laughing gas or laughing liquid that Krusty wants because he wants to, use it to increase his power, whatever.
They're going to entertain Nazis.
Sure.
Back.
What
a joke for today.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ.
Oh God. Anyway, so they go through the whole thing. Bart gets the one alien chick knocked up. He says, you used protection. Well, no, no, I didn't. And by the way, you have space herpes now. And that's the fucking episode.
This whole segment was exposition.
Sure.
Like every scene is just them explaining things.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to be like the stick in the mud with this, man, but I for most of this episode, I completely fucking tuned out.
Because nothing really happened.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if we would have waited 5 more minutes to start recording this, I probably would have forgot part 3. But I immediately forgot about part 1. I barely remember part 2 until we started talking about it, and then part 3 is just it's the Avatar.
Like we found a new thing. Like,
And it's like, and so, like,
Even,
this is the most autopilot I can think of for a Treehouse of Horror episode, in that when the aliens finally went to war with the humans, the music is literally the same, like 3 or 4 notes on a loop for that entire sequence.
I didn't even
notice that.
I mean, it goes to show you, like, when you use the same concept for the name for a segment for the second time in a row, it shows you that they really didn't have third time, but second in a row, because I think with the last episode they did the same thing with Dow and for Murder.
It was 2 before this one.
Was it 2?
Yeah, that was number 20 that was in.
Okay.
So they've done the dial letter for Treehouse
3 times.
3, Treehouse 20, and now 22.
So yeah.
I swear to God, if we seal that fucking title again.
Yeah, which I can understand I can give a pass for number 20 because 1, it was a Hitchcock thing. 2, more than 10 years have passed, so whatever writers were on Treehouse 3 probably aren't still around for Treehouse 20. However, between 20 and 22, there are probably still a good deal of shared writers in that writer's room.
Yeah.
Sure, but I'm also even for like the 10-year gap, you should, if you're writing for the Treehouse episodes, it's easy to keep track of 10 years worth of Treehouse episodes. That's 10 episodes.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say was we moved past our norm with this episode. Normally, when there's a boring segment, we do a lot of commentary, back and forth. This episode was so fucking boring in mass majority of this episode. We were silent, like we were silent most of the time
Because there were no jokes, or there weren't even any failed jokes for us to riff on. Because literally, like I said, the whole episode's exposition. You're here for Hilarium. This planet is sacred. I thought you were using birth control. No, that only prevents me from giving birth while we're having sex. Well, how do those mountains float? They're falling. Like, it's literally just everything's an explanation for something else.
Brandon, I'm impressed that you remembered Hilarion, because I sure as shit didn't.
No.
All I know is
Thank
it was
you.
a secretion from the Queen.
Yeah.
That's
Another explanation.
There you go.
Oh yeah, and then also the other explanation was, well, the humans should have just asked us for it, because we would have gave it to you.
Yeah.
But I've never seen like. Now that I really think about it, I don't think I've ever seen.
Did they
something
accidentally animate the outline?
They did they run out of time? I don't know what the fuck happened. Like,
the intro was long enough. They probably did run out of time.
It's like how Marissa Tomei won the Oscar. The one guy just fucked up reading the wrong name, and they said, "Well, we might as well keep it."
She deserved that Oscar.
I love my cousin Vinny.
I'm sure you love your cousin Vinny. But do you love the movie?
I do love the movie. The movie's fucking hilarious, and great. And there's the joke has been debunked, but that's how it feels like. Like they just ran out of time. They're like, well, we got an outline, so we might as well go with that. And I don't normally get this. Can normally find something I enjoy. And actually, there's one segment in this entire series of all of them that I did laugh at, and I will keep it for my funniest moment.
All right.
Yeah, the look on his face, on
Like,
Brandon's face is just.
is there anything else to say about this segment?
No.
It's Avatar.
Yeah.
No. Yay.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to watch Avatar, but you don't have the time for all 3 hours of its boredom,
Watch Pocahontas.
Are we ready for the wrap up?
Yes.
All right. Funniest moment, Mark. Since you seem to already have yours, have at it.
It's the Looney Tunes joke. That's the funniest segment of the whole episode. In episode 2, when Ned dropped the giant rock onto the Marge's sisters. That's the funniest part. That's the only part I laughed at.
Skip me now.
Nope,
I'm still thinking.
We're not copping out on this.
I'm still thinking
We are
because
digging deep for even something.
I'm digging it right
I'm
now.
going to say when Ned's wife comes up and just demands Satan get back in bed with her, because
I'm
it's
gonna
just
agree.
like, yeah.
Because I at least liked the concept of that. I was almost going to pick like Burns growing the third eye and the nuclear waste, but that's that's more like that's a neat little Easter egg, but it wasn't really a joke or funny. So
It was just, for me, it was just there. Yeah.
Mod with Satan.
I'm gonna go with the same segment, the same part with Satan warming up the coffee because it was still cold.
Oh, that God couldn't even get him out enough coffee.
You can get that
It's just
right.
like, God damn it.
Scariest, creepiest, grossest, most violent, or darkest moment.
Whatever.
Homer making Ned killing off people that he just despised. That was kind of fucked up.
I'm gonna say Mark's funniest moment with the crushing of the two, whatever the fuck their names are, just for violence.
Oh,
They get crushed by
Patty
a
and
giant
Selma.
boulder. Yeah, sure. Whatever their names are.
I'm gonna go with when the fucking alien was pregnant, as grossest and weirdest. The when they're like she's got 20,000 larvae inside of her, and I'm like, that's disgusting.
I am going to go with... This episode really doesn't give us a whole lot.
Digging
it
deep here,
doesn't.
folks. Digging
Yeah,
deep.
I mean, Homer
trying.
shits himself to talk in the first segment, so you
That
could
is
just
pretty
say
gross. Yeah, it's
that. But I
like,
just don't want to even acknowledge
yeah,
it.
like it's so dumb. And it's just kind of gross. Like we've discussed on a couple previous ones. There's gross, and there's fun, gross. And if I'm gonna, and for these grossest moments, I want to give it to fun, gross. But there's nothing here, so I have to default to just something that's gross. And yeah, they guess that's the farts.
Oh my god! Like, all right, let's just end this, man.
Least favorite segment.
One. If anybody chooses anything else, you get stabbed.
Favorite segment.
Two.
2.
Wrap this up.
2.
All right.
What? You made us like wait for you? You sir.
Fine. Favorite segment 1. How about that, you freaking bastards?
Well, I mean, it still wasn't as bad as the Raven.
Oh no!
Oh
You're
no!
lying.
You are not gonna pull
Okay.
that bullshit.
Now we know you're lying.
Bonus discussion. Is number 1 worse than the Raven or not?
No.
No, it is worse than that segment is way fucking worse.
Look,
than the Raven.
again, at least something happened.
Nothing happened.
No. Actually, something did happen. Something bad happened.
Yes, which is still something.
No, I'm
Yes.
gonna go with. Rather watch nothing happening than that bullshit.
Ken,
True.
the Raven, nothing happened.
But you remember
it was still
it.
good animation. This fucking segment had nothing.
It had nothing to offer.
Nothing.
So yeah, no, I'm gonna go with that. I would much rather watch the fucking Raven, even though I dislike it highly, than watch this first segment.
3-1. The Raven is better than whatever the first segment of this one was called. All
Edgar
right.
Allan Poe loving motherfuckers.
Yeah, you damn right.
Son of a bitch.
Let's
man.
start a debate. Who's better, Shakespeare or Edgar?
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare.
Oh, damn it. I was
I've
really
read-
hoping David would
I've
say
read
Edgar.
more Edgar Allan Poe.
Fair enough.
So by default, I'm going to go Poe.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
And if you want to go like get technical, I guess Shakespeare, but personal preference, I'd rather read something by Poe than by Shakespeare.
I respect that.
But then again, we have one who's writing like poems and short stories compared to somebody who's writing plays.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And with that, thank you for listening to today's discussion about Treehouse of Horror 22. I hope you all had a better time listening to us than we had watching the episode that inspired these discussions.
We suffer for you.
Inspired?
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything inspiring about this.
No.
I hope this episode inspires you to seek out the movie The Diving Bell and the Butterfly. There you go.
There you go.
If you liked what you heard, be sure to check out all of our previous Treehouse of Horror episodes. Also, look up our regular podcast, The Nightmares Podcast, wherever podcasts are available. Also, be sure to check us out on our social media at Midwest Horror Network on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and
Slasher.
And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and smash that like button and stab that subscribe. And then please click that little dingy bell to be notified every time we put on content on the Midwest Horror Network. And also, if you are listening on Spotify or any other platform that streams podcasts, please press that follow button so you can also be notified every time we drop a brand new podcast. Thank you so much for everything. We will see you tomorrow.
try to have a happy October 22nd.